What is up, everybody? Eric here from That's Wrestling. Thanks for hanging out today with me. If you want to get a hold of me, you can shoot me an email, eric@thatswrestling.com. You can also find me over on Twitter, That's Wrestling1 with the number 1. This podcast is going to be about the New Japan Super Junior Tag League that just happened. I'm going all the way up till Power Struggle. The finals will be at Power Struggle, which I haven't watched yet. So I will go through basically the tournament and then I guess I'll go through like my viewing guide. Matches. There's a few matches you can skip, but overall it was a very good tournament. Also, I'm now going to be talking about the thing that's on everybody's radar is the situation over with WWE that they had with Saudi Arabia, and I haven't really talked about this on this podcast. One of the reasons I don't watch WWE anymore is because of the deal with Saudi Arabia. So I canceled my network subscription after Blood Money 2, whatever it was called. I don't remember what it was called. But you know, you had the killing of Jamal Khashoggi in the consulate of, or the embassy of, Saudi Arabia, and then a couple weeks later WWE decides, hey, we're still gonna go to Saudi Arabia. It's like, okay, you guys, it's ridiculous. At that point I'm like, okay, this company does not care about doing the right thing, and they just care about the money. So at that point, one, the product was junk anyways, but two, that was just kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. So I got rid of that, and I have basically been watching New Japan exclusively until AEW started up, and now I watch both of those. So New Japan is the one that gets my $10 a month to watch their stuff. So that's how that went. But anyways, it seems that there are a few things coming out of the Saudi Arabia incident this time, and the talent was held for over 24 hours from leaving when they were supposed to leave on a chartered flight. And there are a lot of different stories coming out. WWE and the airline are saying it's a mechanical issue, but it sounds like from a lot of talent, they have been, messaging Dave Meltzer, Wade Keller, and others that was the story that they were told, but they're pretty sure that's not the real story, considering that there was military police like guarding them. And what I think is the most likely situation that actually happened, it was reported in a few different places, but basically going into the show, WWE hadn't been paid for the previous show, which was apparently brought up on the investors call the day before on Wednesday. So at that point, Saudi Arabia owed them $60 million at that point for the previous show. And I think what actually happened, and according to other people, is that Vince was a dumbass and decided he was going to bring that up while they were in the country. And then he got all pissy and got in some sort of an argument with some government official, which is the dumbest thing to do while you're actually in the country under their control. And the TV feed was cut off for whatever reason. It ended up being 40 minutes late in Saudi Arabia, I guess. And that was part of Vince's pissing contest. And, of course, Vince left on his private jet. And then like 175 plus people with the WWE were held up in Saudi Arabia for like 24 hours before they were allowed to come home. I'm pretty sure that was the case, that it was actually they pissed off the Saudis and this was kind of punishment. I'm glad nothing else worse happened, but there are a lot of talent saying that they're not going to go back again, and I hope they don't. And I hope WWE at this point realizes that this deal should die here, and they are not going to fix what is clearly broken over there. And it's just a horrible situation. And I don't blame. Well, one, Daniel Bryan didn't go because he refused after the first time because it was pure propaganda. Kevin Owens won't go because Sammy can't go because he's, Syrian, so they won't even let Sammy into the country. That's the Saudi Arabians' stance. So Kevin Owens isn't going to go, and yeah. So I hope more people don't. There's some people that I'm surprised even went, given kind of, I guess, their religiousness, if I could say that. Like, I'm surprised that AJ Styles would go. I would think this is kind of something that would definitely go against his beliefs and all that. There's a few more, but that's the biggest one that stands out that I'm really surprised that he goes at this point. But I hope at this point so many people refuse to go that this deal is essentially dead. And I hope they never go back. I would hope that they do the right thing at this point, because I would like to start watching NXT again, but I just refuse to because it is essentially a WWE product. So I just don't want to support WWE in any way at this point, even if the product is good. I just can't get over their business practices, and that's just that at the moment. So we'll see in coming days if any more information comes out beyond the line that they've been giving that it was mechanical issues. There's no way that they're held over for 24 hours for mechanical issues. Everybody who's flown and has had mechanical issues knows that it's, there are other things that happen. They get different planes. They will put you on a different flight to connect somewhere else to get to where you're going. I don't understand why some of the talent didn't even just catch whatever flight out of Saudi Arabia to say Europe and then picked up a flight back to the US. That would have made the most sense in that type of time crunch. Well, not even a time crunch, but just to be able to get out of Saudi Arabia. I mean, just getting on any plane that was leaving the country and going anywhere else so they could pick up a plane somewhere else to head back to the US would be preferable over to what actually happened to them. So it sounds more like they were held hostage than actually allowed to leave, and it was not mechanical issues. I don't believe that for a second. So that's it on that situation. So now let's go into the Super Junior Tag League. So I'm going to go, like I said, go up to just before the finals, so I'll cover everything. So if you haven't watched it yet, there will be spoilers, but for the most part, I will give you a quick viewing guide right now. So there were a couple shows right at the beginning of the tag league, so these are road power struggle shows, and then a few shows at the end that had English commentary on them. There's some in the middle that had no commentary at all, and just had the Super Junior Tag League match on New Japan World. And kind of those middle ones you can kind of mostly skip. For the most part, you can basically skip any of the matches with TJP and Clark Conners or Tiger Mask and YuYa Uemura. They're both... YuYa Uemura and Clark Conners are both young lions, so of course their teams did horribly, and nothing serious came out of any of those matches, so you can skip those if you want. I will talk about all those matches, and you can make up your mind if you want to skip them. And then there's some in the middle that are skippable. The ones that didn't have English commentary, you can mostly skip those. Nothing huge came out of them, and mostly it was matches that had Clark Conners, TJP, or Tiger Mask and Uemura, and there may be just a couple that I will go through to watch, but that's kind of watch the first couple shows and the last few shows, and you'll pretty much get the best matches to see. But I will go through them all here. So on night one, we had started off with Tiger Mask, Uemura versus Teton and Volador Jr. So Teton and Volador Jr. came out of CMLL, so they're the CMLL team here. And this is the first year that Tiger Mask is not teaming with Jushin Thunder Liger. So he has taken a young lion under his wing this time. So he basically traded in the oldest competitor in the tournament usually to now the youngest competitor. This is the first time I've ever seen Volador Jr. And he's not bad. His look is kind of weird. He smiles way too much, so that's kind of odd. But overall, good wrestler. Does a lot of flippy stuff. And at the beginning, throughout this entire tournament, there was a lot of respect between a lot of the teams. So here we had Tiger Mask and Volador Jr. Showing respect to each other, shaking hands, and all that fun stuff. Nice mat wrestling during this match from Teton and Uemura. Exchanged a bunch of chops, and in the end, Teton hit a springboard double stomp on Uemura for the pin, so they pick up the first 2 points. Oh, I didn't mention. So the Tag League rules, it is a round-robin tournament. And just like the G1, you get 2 points for winning, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss. And it is a single block, and the top 2 point getters will face in the finals, and the winner of that match goes to Wrestle Kingdom to fight for the titles. So that's how the tournament plays out. So they pick up, the CMLL team picks up 2 points here. Then we had TJP and Clark Conners versus Rocky Romero and Taguchi. So this is the first time that these two are tagging up in Tag League. This is like the fourth partner for Rocky, and like something around that same thing for Taguchi for this tournament. But they are by far, I think, the standout team in this tournament, because we know Taguchi has all his comedy wrestling and whatnot, and I think Rocky plays into that really well. And not only were the matches really entertaining and funny at times, both Rocky and Taguchi can wrestle, so the matches were really fun to watch, and they were really good. So let's see. So in this match, Rocky and TJP had a nice opening sequence. It's good to see TJ Perkins back in New Japan. It's been a long time, and it's nice to see him out of WWE. And he's taken a young lion under his wing for this tournament. He was a LA Dojo original, and now he is has a young lion from the LA Dojo working with him for this tournament. Taguchi and Comedy do some comedy stuff, and then it's just a really fun match. Rocky and Taguchi are really both good wrestlers, like I said, and then Rocky submits Connor with an armbar. Really good match. Definitely worth the watch on this one. A lot of the ones right at the beginning are definitely worth the watch. And then we had Kanemaru and El Desperado. They're teaming up from Suzukigun versus Roppongi 3K, Yoh and Sho from Chaos. Right away, Roppongi 3K is attacked, they attack right away, not giving Suzukigun to repeat what they've been doing at King of Pro Wrestling. They have been attacking before the bell. Outside brawl, Sho gets tossed into the chairs. Desperado lays into Sho with a chair into his back, and this is going to play throughout the rest of the Road to Power Struggle shows. There are some undercard matches that they are opposite of each other on multi-man tags, and Desperado will continue to work Sho's back throughout the entire tour, which then comes into play near the end of the tournament. And then Sho hits a power breaker on Desperado, but he can't make it over due to his back. And then after a ref bump, Sho avoids the whiskey to the face from Kanemaru, but Desperado distracts the ref, and Kanemaru hits Yoh with the whiskey bottle, and then Kanemaru distracts the ref, and Desperado hits Sho with a chair to the back, and then eventually gets the numero dos submission for the tap. Another good match right out of the gate. Really happy with this one to see. And then we had the current tag champions El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori from Bullet Club versus Birds of Prey, which is Will Ospreay and Robbie Eagles from Chaos. So thinking going into this, this was going to be a cracker of a match because these are really good teams. They've seen each other a few times in the past couple months, but it wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be. But again, we have a few things that really bug me. Ishimori and El Phantasmo have been raking the back of their opponents, and in this case, they do it right in front of the ref. No admonishment from the ref. Again, it's one of those things. It's like, shouldn't this be a DQ or something like that? But he didn't even like admonish them from it. He was just like, just kind of waving them off a little bit. And then, also, both of them did the spot where they hang somebody up in the tree of woe and then are standing on their junk. Again, aren't low blows illegal? Sometimes some of the matches, the ref actually starts a 5 count, but most of the time the ref is just like, why are you doing that? You should stop doing that. And like, not even like trying to stop it. It's the refs in New Japan seem completely impotent on, maintaining control and stopping illegal acts from happening. It's just one of those things that bugs me. Anyways, ELP at one point gets Eagles up on his shoulder. Ishimori hits him with the rising knee. Eagles then on Eagles and then hits the back rack spinning neck breaker. It's like the helicopter neck breaker that ELP likes to do. ELP goes for a pin on Ospreay by doing a 450. He goes for a pin and Ospreay breaks up the pin by doing a 450 splash. But ELP actually moves out of the way and Will Ospreay ends up landing on his partner, Robbie Eagles. This is kind of the beginning of the end. Ishimori distracts the ref. ELP hits a low blow on Eagles. Ishimori hits Bloody Cross. ELP hits CR2. They pick up the pin right there. I thought they would hold off this match till later, given that it's probably two of the most popular teams or, the highest performing teams, instead of doing it on the first night. But hey, what can you say? You got to kind of load up those first shows and the last shows. It's kind of how it goes with the smaller tournaments that aren't the G1 and even Best of Super Juniors. Those are always pretty good too. So just how it is. But overall, good start for the Tag League on the first night. Night 2, we had, again, at Korakuen Hall, a lot of empty seats on night 2. This is really the only night I noticed that there were a lot of empty seats. It was just really strange for Korakuen Hall, but it was what it was. First match was Tiger Mask and Uemura versus Rocky Romero and Taguchi. Uemura seems to have a bit of anger issues, if you will. He didn't shake hands the previous night. He didn't shake hands on this night. Good match. Taguchi picks up the win by pinning Uemura with the Dodon. And Uemura seems to be kind of losing it a bit. He's kind of mad at himself because he's been pinned twice so far. And that kind of builds a little bit throughout the tournament. And then I'll talk about it in a little bit. And then we had TJP and Clark Conners versus Teton and Volador Jr. TJP shakes hands, but Connor is not interested. Connor seems to be mad at the world, similar to his Young Lion counterpart of Uemura. Volador and TJP have a nice opening. Lots of high flying in this. Both teams actually end up repeating a lot of the spots from the previous night, and that kind of plays throughout the tournament for at least these two teams. Near the end, they kind of change it up a little bit, but you kind of end up seeing the same sequence of spots from both teams in their matches. So, I mean, this is kind of a skippable one if you just want to skip through it. In the end, Teton hits the springboard double stomp on Connors and picks up the win. 2 nights in a row, Kevin Kelly has said semifinal instead of semi-main event. And he actually said it near the end of the tournament too. So just something to look out for when he says semifinal. He actually means semi-main event, not the semifinal. And then we had El Desperado and Kanemaru versus the current champions, El Phantasmo and Ishimori. So El Desperado and Kanemaru from Suzukigun, they have been attacking before the bell. Again, they attack before the bell at this time. And something weird on commentary. Again, Kevin Kelly said that there wasn't a bell, but there clearly was a bell. I heard it. Again, a ton of back rakes in front of the ref. Ref does nothing. And then Kevin Kelly tries to cover for Red Shoes in action on them, but still, it's strange. Anyways, and then again, they had the standing on the opponent's junk in the corner. Ref is right there. Doesn't stop them. Doesn't even count half the time. Both members of Suzuki use chairs and other weapons on their opponents on the outside. Again, right in front of the ref. Ref does nothing. And then we had a nice sequence by ELP of a crossbody to a lion salt to a dive outside onto Kanemaru, and then a springboard splash back into the ring on Desperado. Ref gets pulled out of the ring, and Kanemaru low blows Ishimori, and then ELP low blows Kanemaru. ELP brings the belt into the ring, and Kanemaru goes for a low blow on ELP. And then Desperado, after a little bit, Desperado goes for another low blow to ELP. And then at that point, the belt is on the ground. Desperado picks up the belt, smashes ELP with the belt. Ishimori low blows the belt. And then Kanemaru spits whiskey into the face of Ishimori, and then Desperado hits Ishimori with the belt, and then Pinche Loco to pick up the win. So Kanemaru is using the Centauri Sunrise constantly throughout this tournament, and this will be a ongoing thing, but right there they pick up their 2 points at that point. And then we have Roppongi 3K versus Will Ospreay and Robbie Eagles. This was a very good match. Definitely check it out. Will Ospreay is having an awesome year, and this was just another one of those great matches. Ospreay and Eagles do some solid tag team work. They have some really innovative double teams that they do, and they're good. They're tagging in and out and rotating. Very interesting spots. They played slightly heel, egging Yoh and Sho a couple times. And then Sho gets a nice hot tag. He gets a bunch of strikes on both Eagles and Ospreay, and then he does a running basement drop kick to Eagles, who is sitting out on the apron after doing a leg sweep to send him on his butt. And then Sho hits a massive clothesline at one point, turning Ospreay inside out. Ospreay just like floated in the air after he got hit. It was really insane. It was just, I don't know. It just looked like he didn't move in the air for a minute and didn't come down. But, that's Will Ospreay for you. Eagles does a huge cannonball dive and lands about 3 rows in. And then they set up and do a super sliced bread off the top rope. And then the finishing sequence begins with Eagle reversing the 3K into a DDT. And then Eagles was on top from there until they trade roll-up pins. And then Yoh got the pin with the 5-star clutch and pick up the victory there. Commentary was saying that Will Ospreay was actually had food poisoning during this match. So if that was true and he did this match, that would have totally sucked, but it didn't look like it really hurt the match performance at all. So there you go. So that's the end of night 2. Night 3, we had no commentary, and we only had 2 matches that were on New Japan World, and these are this is the only tag league matches. So we had Taiji Ishimori versus Tiger Mask and Uemura. You can skip this one. There's some nice quick chain wrestling from the Young Lion and Ishimori. Typical raking of the back, no admonishment from the ref. Uemura breaks down after being pinned, falling bloody cross from Ishimori. And but yeah, the match was all right. Nothing special. You can skip it. Then we had Robbie Eagles and Will Ospreay versus Volador Jr. and Teton. It was a very lucha match, a lot of high flying, fast paced. Teton and Robbie Eagles finished it out when Eagles started working over Teton's leg. He hit him with a springboard drop kick to the knee, and then some strikes. He hit him with turbo backpack, and then submitted Teton with the Ron Miller special. This was a pretty good match, definitely worth the watch. And then we had Clark Conners and TJP versus Roppongi 3K, and so we're on night 4 at this point. TJP and Clark Conners have 0 points at this point, and Roppongi 3K have 2 points. It's actually a pretty nice match. Clark Conners put in a lot of work, as he did throughout the entire tournament. He got in a lot of offense, but he also took quite a beating. Finished up with Yoh submitting Conners with a calf crusher, calf slicer, whatever you want to call it. Pretty solid match. Check it out if you want, but you can skip it. TJP has been working babyface throughout this entire tournament, and he's shaking hands with everybody and whatnot, trying to mentor Conners, but Conners is continually having his kind of anger issues and being mad at the world, I guess is the best way to say it. Moving into night 5, just one match on night 5. We had Suzukigun, so we had El Desperado and Kanemaru versus Rocky Romero and Taguchi, and they're calling themselves the Mega Coaches at this point. Suzukigun continues their attacks before the bell. Match went about as expected. Rocky and Taguchi did some comedy. Desperado and Kanemaru did some brawling out into the crowd. Kind of the typical things you would see from these two teams. Like I said, I really hope that Rocky and Taguchi stay together after this because they work really well together, and their comedy is funny, and they can both actually wrestle. The end of the match was pretty funny when Taguchi takes a few swigs of Kanemaru's whiskey and he's acting all drunk. And Rocky and Taguchi pick up another win, giving them 6 points after hitting Dodon on Kanemaru. Pretty good match, especially if you like comedy wrestling. Definitely worth the watch on this one. So that was night 5. Night 6, again, we only had one match, and again, it was the Mega Coaches, Rocky Romero and Taguchi, this time versus El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. This was a super indie-style match, in so that Taguchi actually did an ass plex, similar to Joey Ryan's penis plex. So this was actually a pretty funny match, and ELP and Taiji Ishimori were actually really funny in it as well. And then they actually, they had back and forth until Rocky tried an armbar on ELP, but ELP reversed it into a pin, and that was the finish of the match. But if you like comedy matches, definitely check this one out. If you like the really kind of over-the-top indie style stuff, then check it out. Otherwise, you can skip it if you'd like. But as far as my money goes, I liked all the matches that the Mega Coaches did. They were pretty funny, and they had really good wrestling in them. So check that out. That was on night 6. Night 7, we had Clark Conners, TJP versus Will Ospreay, Robbie Eagles. Again, TJP shakes hands with the other team. Conners does not. Definitely worth the watch to see TJP and Ospreay work together, but overall it was a decent match. You can skip this one. Eagles finished out the match with a springboard drop kick to Conners' knees, and then eventually locked in the Ron Miller special. So they're sitting at 4 points now for Will Ospreay, Robbie Eagles, and 0 points for TJP and Clark Conners. So night 8, again, we just have one match. Nothing special. You can skip this one. It was Teton and Volador Jr. They beat El Desperado and Kanemaru. So, yeah, you can just skip this one. It's really not even worth covering. And then back to Tokyo for night 9. We're back in Korakuen Hall at this point. We had full 4 matches on this night. So we had Uemura and Tiger Mask versus Robbie Eagles, Will Ospreay. Uemura is still eager, and of course his over-eagerness is his team's demise again. He's submitted with the Ron Miller special. You can skip this match. And then we had TJP and Clark Conners versus El Desperado and Kanemaru. regular outside actions by Suzukigun members, and then Desperado submits Conners after Kanemaru gives him the Suntory surprise. Again, this is a skippable match. Then we had El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. At this point, they have 6 points versus Teton and Volador Jr. with 4 points. The beginning of this match wasn't that great, but it picked up near the end with a bunch of crazy high spots. This one could go really either way to watch, but El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori picked up the win in this one. If you like these two teams, watch it. If you're not a huge fan of either of them, then you can skip it. Then we had Roppongi 3K with 4 points versus Rocky Romero and Taguchi at 6 points, the mega coaches. It started out with a bit of comedy, but then this match kind of really got serious. It had me on the edge of my seat, especially for the last 5 minutes. I think this was the best match in the tournament at this point, and even after seeing the rest of the tournament, I think this was my favorite match of the entire tournament. Lots of near falls, lots of reversals. The match finished up when Rocky rolled up Sho when Sho tried to go for a shock arrow. Great match, definitely worth watching. So at this point, Rocky Romero and Taguchi are up to 8 points there. First ones to 8 points. And then we have Tiger Mask and Uemura versus El Desperado and Kanemaru from Suzukigun. So we are on night 10 at this point. Suzukigun has been attacking before the bell, but Tiger Mask and Uemura attacked before the bell this time, so they got to jump on him. Regular shenanigans from Suzukigun out on the outside. El Desperado actually tears Tiger Mask's mask open in the front, so he has to cover his face. Someone actually runs to the back and gets Tiger Mask a new mask, and he puts that mask on, and actually the remnants of the torn mask are hanging around his neck for the rest of the match. But once he gets tagged in, he is pissed. He is beating the crap out of El Desperado, and Kanemaru is a really good hot tag sequence. And then after some underhanded tactics against Tiger Mask, he has to tag out. And then while El Desperado is up on the top rope, Tiger Mask actually runs from his corner and then hits a double underhook suplex off the top rope. And then there was a really exciting submission attempt by Uemura. It was really high tension, really exciting. And then Kanemaru throws a chair into the ring to distract the ref. So the ref turns his back to get the chair out of the ring. And, of course, Kanemaru hits Suntory surprise by spitting whiskey in Uemura's eyes. And El Desperado has the numero dos locked in, and they pick up the submission victory there. So this is actually probably my favorite Tiger Mask Uemura match. So this one is probably one of the ones of that team to check out. Then we had TJP versus El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori, and Clark Conners with TJP. The match goes immediately out of control. Typical back raking, no words from the ref. And then at least the ref stopped Ishimori from standing on Conners' nuts this time. TJP and Conners hit a doomsday blockbuster, which was really cool on Ishimori. They pick up a 2 count there. El Phantasmo and Ishimori go for the Codebreaker moonsault combo. Ishimori hits the Codebreaker, but Conners moves out of the way, and ELP actually does a moonsault onto Ishimori. Eventually, Ishimori hits Bloody Cross, and then ELP hits a splash on Connor for the 3. They are the first team to 10 points. ELP actually on his way out slaps some snacks out of some lady's hand in the front row on the way out. Is pretty funny. But this is one of those matches you can probably skip if you are short on time. Then we had Roppongi 3K versus Teton and Volador Jr. Roppongi 3K has 4 points. The CMLL team has 6 points. Teton's leg gets worked over a ton, but then he completely no-sold it. Like, they were destroying his leg, and then he was running around like nothing was wrong. Like, he didn't have a limp or anything. Like, he completely no-sold it after the sequence was over. It's just something that kind of really bugged me. Yoh pins Teton with a dragon suplex with a bridge. You can skip this match. It's one of those kind of skippable matches, I guess. And then Will Ospreay, Robbie Eagles with 6 points versus Rocky Romero and Taguchi with 8 points. It's mentioned on commentary that it is Rocky Romero's birthday, and there's a couple points where the crowd actually sings happy birthday to Rocky Romero. One is egged on by Taguchi, and another is egged on by Will Ospreay for different reasons. Started out with a little bit of comedy, but impressive showings by all parties. Eagles hits an assisted sliced bread on Rocky. Ospreay hits the shooting star press for a 2 count. Ospreay then goes for Stormbreaker, but Rocky reverses it into a Rana. Excellent reversal right there. They exchange pin attempts and strikes. Taguchi runs in and they hit a double hip attack. And then they double team, do a Dodon code breaker. Eagles breaks up the pin. Rocky does sliced bread on Ospreay, and then Rocky gets the armbar on, but Ospreay powers out of it and gives him a power bomb. They exchange strikes. Eagles runs in, hits turbo backpack. Ospreay hits the Os cutter. Taguchi breaks up that pin, and then Eagles locks up Taguchi. So he can't interfere anymore. Ospreay hits Hidden Blade on Rocky, then Stormbreaker, and they pick up the win. So excellent match. Definitely, this one's worth checking out on night 10. Night 11, we had just one match. Not a bad match. It was a Roppongi 3K with 6 points, and Uemura and Tiger Mask with 0 points. Not a bad match. Uemura is definitely showing a good amount of promise at this point, but it is a skippable match. Roppongi 3K picked up the win in this one. Night 12, we have TJP and Clark Conners with 0 points versus Tiger Mask and Uemura, also with 0 points. Decent match, but nothing special. Just the Young Lions getting their stuff in. TJP pins Uemura with a detonation kick, and that's the end of that one. You can skip this match. And then we are going into the final night of tournament activity, shy of the finals, which was going to be at Power Struggle. So we have all these teams going in. We have Rocky Romero and Taguchi with 8 points. We have El Desperado and Kanemaru with 8 points. We have Robbie Eagles, Will Ospreay with 8 points. We have Roppongi 3K with 8 points, and we have El Phantasmo and Robbie Eagles with 10 points. So all of these matches come into play. So basically how it would work out in Rocky Romero and Taguchi have to win their match to get up to 10 points because El Desperado and Kanemaru have 8 points, and Robbie Eagles and Will Ospreay have 8 points. So even if they go to a draw, both of those teams will have at least 9 points, or you have a win-loss and somebody's going to have 10 points. So it is do or die for Rocky Romero and Taguchi. So this was actually probably my favorite Teton Volador match. Taguchi and Rocky had some good double teams that didn't go their way. So I guess they were bad double teams. So they end up hitting the move on their partner instead of the person either holding them. Rocky got whipped into Taguchi's backside while he's up on the turnbuckle. In the end, Teton picks up the pin on Rocky after doing a double stomp from the middle rope for a 2 count, and then he does a springboard double stomp from the top rope for the 3. And at that point, the Mega Coaches were eliminated from contention. So we have the next match. We had El Desperado, Kanemaru versus Robbie Eagles and Will Ospreay. It's really going to come out interesting because Will Ospreay and Robbie Eagles definitely have to win this one. Kanemaru and El Desperado, they have to win this one. And it kind of comes into play on how it's going to work out for the final match. I love how Gato does his booking, because it really comes down. These last 3 matches on the last night are all important. So how this tournament was booked, it came down to the end, and I just like how Gedo does his booking that way. We had El Desperado and Kanemaru attack before the bell like they've been doing all tournament, and then Birds of Prey hit stereo corner-to-corner flip dives, and Will Ospreay does a suave move by landing in the first row and putting his arm around a lady. And then Ospreay gets tossed into the seats, and he goes like a bowling ball, like 10 rows back at least. It was insane. Suzukigun beat up Birds of Prey on the outside, and then we have a schmoz finish. This was kind of disappointing. Taiji had come out with El Desperado and Kanemaru. Taiji jumps up onto the ring apron to distract the ref. Bushi runs out and hits Ospreay with the mist, and then Kanemaru hits Robbie Eagles with the whiskey to the face, or in the face, and Desperado pins Robbie Eagles. So we had the schmoz finish right here. And then Ospreay gets on the mic afterwards. He calls out Bushi and says he'll face him for the Junior Heavyweight Championship, and he'll do it in 2 days at Power Struggle. Kind of dumb on Will Ospreay's part, basically giving Bushi exactly what he wanted, which is a shot at the championship. So we'll be seeing Ospreay versus Bushi for the Junior Heavyweight Championship at Power Struggle. And then at this point, we have Kanemaru and El Desperado are definitely in for the finals because they have a win over El Phantasmo and Robbie Eagles. So if El Phantasmo and Robbie Eagles were to lose the final match, they'd have 10 points. Roppongi 3K would have 10 points, and the tiebreakers would go, Roppongi 3K would be over Robbie Eagles, El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori. I don't know why I wrote Robbie Eagles right there. That's Taiji. That's Ishimori. Ishimori. It'd work out. The tiebreakers would be if they all had 10 points. So if Roppongi 3K wins their match, they have 10 points. El Phantasmo and Ishimori, they already have 10 points. But how the tiebreakers would work out, El Desperado and Kanemaru have a win over El Phantasmo and Ishimori. If Roppongi 3K beat El Phantasmo and Ishimori, they will also have a win. So how the tiebreaker would work out, Roppongi 3K and El Desperado and Kanemaru are the ones that actually would go to the finals. So they just need to figure out who are they going to be facing. And then, going into this match, Sho's back was attacked the previous night by El Desperado, as I mentioned earlier, during a non-league match. He's been targeting his back throughout the entire tournament, and then because of this, El Phantasmo and Ishimori really target Sho's back because he has it all taped up. Of course, they rake the back in front of the ref. Ref says nothing, and they stand on his junk. And Red Shoes at least gave him a 5 count this time, but still. Yoh Sho hit 3K, but Ishimori breaks up the pin, and then they give 3K to Ishimori. Sho tries to hit Shock Arrow, but ELP gets out of it, and the ref had turned away because ELP was kind of moving towards him after he got out of the Shock Arrow, so he's turned his back. ELP punches Sho in the nuts, and then rolls up Sho for a 2 count. Sho manages to play through the pain. He hits Shock Arrow for the win. So we have Roppongi 3K going on to the finals, see if they can make it a 3-peat. And then we have El Desperado and Kanemaru going to the finals. And the current tag champions, El Phantasmo and Ishimori, are out. So when they announced that Roppongi 3K and El Desperado and Kanemaru would be going to the finals, Desperado and Kanemaru came out. They attack Sho and Yoh, and they hit Sho again with the chair across the back. Desperado cuts a promo, but unfortunately, Chris Charlton is not on commentary this night, so he can't translate for us. So I'm not 100% sure what he said, but all in all, this was a very fun Junior Tag League tournament this year. Most of the matches are worth watching, especially the ones on the early nights and the late nights. I guess the first few nights and the last few nights. And then you had a couple in the middle that are definitely worth checking out. So all in all, very happy with it. It was definitely a good show, and we will see at Power Struggle who will be moving on to face Taiji Ishimori and El Phantasmo at Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Championships. So that's really all I have tonight. I will be watching Power Struggle hopefully tomorrow evening, and I can record on Tuesday, hopefully. But if you are listening to this on podcast and you want to see this live, I actually recorded this live over on YouTube. You can go to the YouTube channel, which is in the description of the show. And if you have been watching this on YouTube, you can head over to thatswrestling.com to pick up the RSS feed as a podcast, or search in your podcast app. It should come up. If it does not come up in your podcast app, shoot me an email, eric@thatswrestling.com, so I know what app my show is not showing up in, and I can get that submitted so I can get it on the platform that you are using. So until next time, hopefully on Tuesday, thanks for watching. That's Wrestling. See you guys.